A show created by the fans, for the fans. We are your home for Ohio State football coverage all year long. The Scarlet and Gray Podcast, a Network 216 production. Live weekdays on the Network 216 YouTube channel. Send us all your questions and comments on Twitter at @VSG_podcast. Now, here are your hosts, Tyler Johnson, Jordan Dalton, and Nick Leisure.
Good evening, Buckeye Nation. Welcome to tonight's episode of the Scarlet and Gray Podcast. I am Tyler Johnson, doing this one solo once again this evening. Nick Leisure most likely will be back with us next week for your Ohio State season preview. We're going to have our season preview episode, just kind of where we go through every game a little bit. And then, of course, your Ohio State versus Texas game day preview, which we will have for you next Friday. So want to make sure you guys don't miss any of it. If you would do me a favor, go ahead, drop a like on the video, subscribe if you are brand new to the channel. We really would appreciate that support. Also, go give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. I know I told you guys this last episode, but we did have some Michigan fans that went in there and completely tanked the overall rating of the show. There's really nothing we can do about it. Only thing I can ask from you, if anyone's watching this and it's not giving us a 5-star review, just go over to Apple. All you have to do, and then just click 5-star review. You don't even have to write anything if you don't want to. Just go over there, click 5-star review, and help us really help the show out a lot. Like I said, we really got decimated with the reviews, and so if we can get any help at all, we really would appreciate that support. So tonight, we're just going to go over the biggest questions for the Buckeyes this year. So what do I mean by that? Position battles. We did get news on the quarterback position, and we are going to dive into that a little bit further. But I wanted to talk other positions as well, because everyone's talking quarterbacks, most important position on the field. But I did think it was important to just talk about the other battles the Buckeyes are having. Also, we had a lot of people send us in questions, so going to get to as many of those as I possibly can tonight. Hopefully all of them. But we're probably looking again at a little bit shorter show, half hour or so is what we're looking at. So again, before we get started, be sure to like the video, subscribe if you're new to the channel. We really would appreciate that. And let's get into it. So the big news, of course, is Ohio State has named redshirt freshman Julian Sayin as the starting quarterback for this season. Not really a huge surprise if you're asking me. He was the most talented quarterback on the roster. He is, you could make the argument, one of the most talented in the country, just from a not even a physical standpoint, just the attributes. I mean, he's very accurate with the football, quick release, can make every throw on the football field. He is a guy that if he has the type of season that we all think, he could be in New York for the Heisman ceremony. He really is that good of a player. And again, it's a no-brainer for me as far as making him the starting quarterback. Nothing against Lincoln Kienholz. Lincoln Kienholz is is a very good player, very athletic. Apologize if you can hear my dogs barking in the background. They're doing some work on the road, literally outside our house. But as far as Lincoln Kienholz goes, he's very athletic. He's a guy that Ryan Day mentioned that they could potentially have some packages for him. And so kind of like how the Buckeyes used Ryan Day a little bit. I mean, how they used Devin Brown a little bit when Kyle McCord was the starting quarterback. They could use that with Lincoln Kienholz and Julian Sayin. However, I will say this. I don't think it's necessary for them to do that because here's the thing. One thing people underrate about Julian Sayin is his ability as an athlete. He is a guy that can run the football. Now, is he going to take off often? Probably not. Like, he wants to sit. He wants to throw. He wants to make plays. But I can just tell you that he can make plays with his feet. He did it in high school. And, again, I know college is not the same as high school, but he can make plays. So I want to just tell people, like, don't be surprised when you see Julian Sayin make plays with his feet. I won't. I've shared videos on Twitter just with his ability to make plays with his legs. They might use him maybe a little bit when you get into the red zone, maybe quarterback sneaks. But I just don't think it's necessary. And again, Ryan Day very well might do that. And if he does, then he does. I just really don't think it's necessary. Real quick, we're getting into a quick question here. Jermaine asks, was Ross Bjork an SEC plant? I see Buckeye fans turn on him. Maybe at some point we'll dive into this a little bit more. But since we are talking Ross Bjork for a second, Braylon Womack, who is considered to be by everyone a five-star safety, top safety in the 2025 class, is scheduled to commit tonight at 8 o'clock. Buckeyes were viewed for a favorite for him for a long period of time. Looks like he is going to head to an SEC school, either Florida or Auburn. So we'll see what happens with him. But I can tell you, Ohio State this year on the recruiting trail, they have their number and they're not going to go over it. For some of these kids, the reality is, though, if you want five-star talent outside of a select few, you're gonna have to pay. That's the reality of the world we live in. People will disagree and say, I don't want to give that much money to a unproven high school player. I understand that. I really do, but it's the landscape that we live in. And you're going to have to potentially pay more out the transfer portal by buying out that pre-existing NIL deal and then signing that player to a new NIL deal than you will if you actually just recruit them out of high school. So something just to keep in mind with that. But with Ross Bjork, I can say, Jermaine, I don't really know what we're doing. I've seen schools use collectives still. A lot of them are. We're not. It doesn't seem like I don't have any proof of that, but it does appear that way because when the foundation was involved in the recruiting process, basically for the Buckeyes, they were the ones handling a lot of the deals, and so you were getting top prospects. They were putting forth a good deal of money. They were getting a lot of big-time donations coming in. Things have definitely slowed down. The Buckeyes still have a good recruiting class right now, but let's just see how they finish. I know some people are worried about that, but I don't think he's an SEC plant. He just might not have been the best guy for the job. But it's hard to tell. He hasn't been around that long, and let's give him some time. Some fans don't want to. At Ohio State, we don't really ever want to give anybody time. But it's the way it goes, my friend. But I appreciate the question. Back to the quarterbacks. Yeah, Julian saying starter doesn't surprise me. I expect him to have a big year. I want to tell Buckeye fans this, and I'll probably say it many more times. The expectations should be big on him as the number one quarterback in the 2024 class as a five-star recruit. But let's not be unrealistic here. The odds that he's going to go out there and just shred Texas, who is the number one team in the country, that is what they are, even though we're number 3. Texas is number 1. I don't expect them to go out and just light it up and destroy them. I mean, CJ Stroud didn't even do that in his first game. Struggled a little bit his first couple games as a starter. Julian Sain might do that too. Let's not rush just to bench the kid if he has a bad game or throws an interception. I'm sure there'll be many fans that are wanting to do that. Just unfortunately, Buckeye fans don't like to hear this, but give the kid time. It might take a little while, but I have no doubt that he is talented enough to be one of the more talented quarterbacks that we've had come through here the last couple of years. Anyways, moving on, as far as other positions, I do believe as of right now that we are going to see Philip Daniels over Ethan Owonia as on the offensive line at offensive tackle. I see that happening. Philip Daniels has already lost his black stripe. Sounds like he's having a phenomenal fall camp. And the way he's playing, he very well could start for the Buckeyes. And Ethan Owonia has not yet lost his black stripe, which is interesting. You would expect that would happen before Texas. It sounds like he's going to be your 6th offensive lineman. I know that might surprise some people, but that's where it's at right now from everything I've read. And so I expect Ethan Owonia to be the swing guy. For right now, that could also change as we go throughout the season. But yeah, Ethan Owonia right now is going to be your swing tackle. And it looks like let's keep going here. I've seen just mixed reports about having CJ Donaldson as the starting running back over James Peoples. Apologies, I have to close the door here because one of my dogs decides they want to bark really loud. So I apologize for that. But anyway, CJ Donaldson looking like he might end up being the starting running back over James Peoples. Let me just say this. It's 1A, 1B, kind of like we had last year with Judkins and Travion Henderson. I'm not comparing those, saying that those two are those guys, because they're not by any means necessary, but a similar situation there. I'm expecting a near split at the running back position between those two, and the true freshman Bo Jackson will get touches. He's looked really good as a true freshman, so I wouldn't rule him out at all as far as getting any touches. Now I kind of want to move on a little bit to the defensive side of the ball. The big battle on the defensive side is at the safety position. Who is going to be next to Caleb Downs? Now, we've had Fahim Delane just recently lost his black stripe. You have Jalen McClain and Malik Hartford are the two main guys that are fighting for that. I know they mentioned Leroy Roker potentially. I just don't see that one. I know that Matt Carrieri has connected him potentially to that job, but I think he's just mentioning the guys that are returning. It's kind of what it sounds like there. No offense to him. I just think if he plays, he's going to be in mop-up duty this year. But Jalen McClain, it sounds like, is the favorite. But again, I think you're going to see a lot of rotation at the safety position. And even Caleb Downs in some cases might line up at slot corner. We've seen reports of him playing that position a little bit. Jacob, real quick. I touched on Braylon Womack. Not expecting him to be a Buckeye at this point. I'm just not. Anything can happen. It's recruiting, so I'm never going to say never. But, I mean, the Buckeyes, let's just say this. The Buckeyes have a fair offer on the table for him, and if he's not going to accept it, I don't know what to tell you. It's just kind of the way it is. And that's just the way it looks right now. But I do kind of want to – let me get back real quick. Talking about the safety position. Jalen McClain and Malik Hartford, I feel like you're going to split some reps. Caleb Downs going to line up at slot corner from time to time. And then you'll see kind of just a little rotation there. Downs won't come off the field pretty much ever. And then McClain, Hartford, they're going to intertwine. They both, it sounds like, have played pretty well in fall camp and spring ball. So that's really encouraging to see. So at the safety position, kind of a toss-up there. I mean, you really could go either way, but right now I'm leaning towards Jalen McClain. And then at the nickelback position, whether I agree with it or not, I would personally be playing Bryce West. He's the younger guy. I do think he's got more potential, but I do think they're going to lean on the experience of Lorenzo Styles and put him at the nickelback position. Again, not the route I would go, but it does appear to be leaning that way right now. And so we very well should just expect Lorenzo Styles to be out there. But Bryce West will get his time. I think he deserves his time. He's had a great camp. It sounds like he's been playing really, really well. So that's encouraging to see from him. And then at the linebacker position, I do expect it to be Arvell Reese and Sonny Styles as your two linebackers when you have three on the field. We're looking at Peyton Pierce. But, yeah, it's going to be those three. Riley Pettijohn will be rotated in there because he's already – I mean, he lost his black stripe really early. I do expect him to be involved. But James Laurinaitis said they have three stars at linebacker with Pierce, Styles, and Reese. So I'm expecting those three to rotate a lot. And, again, Riley Pettijohn, it wouldn't surprise me at all if he's playing against Texas. I do think he's that good. We'll see how much they trust him early on, but that'll be really interesting. As far as the other positions, the only other position that really you can consider a position battle, I think, is the defensive end position, and that is Bo Atkinson and Caden Curry. I lean Caden Curry, the senior, but Bo Atkinson's going to play a lot. We all know that, so I expect him to get a ton of time. And he will definitely be on the field against Texas. Who starts? I'm going to say Caden Curry. I think they want to go with the returning guys on the defensive line. And again, it's game one, guys. I expect rotations throughout the year. Expect positions to change, other guys to get starts, especially depending on the level of competition. But yeah, so Atkinson, Kenyatta Jackson, Caden Curry, all going to get time. Haven't seen much so far on Logan George. I don't know if he'll get time, but CJ Hicks, it sounds like, is going to end up playing a good amount this year. Will Smith Jr. has been mentioned a lot, Tywan Malone. But, I mean, the defensive line is going to be pretty consistent, barring injury. I do hope they rotate a decent amount because they should. They should absolutely rotate a decent amount there. Only other this is the final position because technically it is a position battle. It's a punter. Joe McGuire looks like he is going to start, but Nick McClarty recently lost his black stripe, and a lot of people are saying, well, it took a while. Keep in mind, he was a late enrollee last year to fall camp, choosing the Buckeyes, and he's a former rugby guy. That transition can take a little while from time to time, so don't be surprised there. Before we get to everyone's questions on Twitter, do have a couple in the chat I want to make sure I get to. And this actually, Jacob asked this, and this will transition nice into the Twitter questions. Is Devin Sanchez going to play? Yes. I would bet everything I have that Devin Sanchez is going to play, especially against Texas. I expect him to be involved a lot. This is the type of talent that you are looking at as potentially – I'm not calling him Jeremiah Smith, but I'm talking about that type of talent, the cornerback position. So I'm expecting him to play. It's going to be really interesting to see how they do that. Now, what I mean, you have the Igmanosin, you have Jermaine Matthews. So you have those guys already at corner. Going to be hard to take them off the field. Give them a reason to. Aaron Scott Jr., I think, is going to play too. I don't think he's going to play as much. I think Devin Sanchez plays more, but Aaron Scott Jr. is another guy. But Devin Sanchez will play. And again, I just don't know how much he is going to play. So I don't know if he'll play a ton against Texas. I don't. But he will play a lot this year. I have no doubt in my mind. And it wouldn't even surprise me, I mean this, if at some point he starts. I don't know who that would be for. Maybe potentially someone they overtake Lorenzo Styles Jr. That's another possibility. Devin Sanchez is going to play a lot and play often. And then get into some of your other questions, just pulling up Twitter here. So if you all would just bear with me here for a second. So just some, and by the way, you guys asked some really good questions. I just want to say I really do appreciate that because sometimes I know I don't really get a lot of questions, and sometimes people just forget to ask them, but I just want to say I really do appreciate that actually being done. So how do you think the coordinators are meshing with each other in their roles? Any tension? It doesn't sound like there's been any tension. It's early. We know that Jim Knowles had some issues with Larry Johnson and vice versa. I don't get the sense there's any tension right now, but we don't know. Brian Hartline, of course, moving to the offensive coordinator and calling the plays is going to be a transition. So I wonder how much Ryan Day gets involved with that. I'm hoping he isn't involved a ton. I really would hope that's the case, but we'll see. I expect Brian Hartline, though, to air it out a lot. I do, especially when you have so much talent on the outside. But so far, so good on the coaching staff. It sounds like from all accounts there. Okay. With this from Adam Kasem, that last question is from Terrence Mann. So thank you for that. Adam says, with us being the runner-up in the top 4 for a lot of recruits, is there a chance we can flip enough of them to get a top 5 class? So Ohio State's not really known for flipping. That's the big thing here. I'm not saying they won't flip because they very well might. I think the big thing I'm curious about is what happens with the NFL collectives as we eventually get to signing day. If there's any change in that and what can be offered, what can't, if something major changes there, I think Ohio State ends up flipping more guys. If nothing really changes, then I don't think anything really changes a lot there. They might flip one or two, but to flip a large portion of guys, something drastic would have to change as far as with the NIL collectives or the revenue sharing. It's all a mess right now. There's an executive order from the White House. It's a mess. I don't have any idea Adam, how that's going to shake out. But again, thank you for your question. We'll take a break from Twitter for a second. Jacob also asks, do we get Darius Gray tomorrow? No. He will be heading most likely down south to an SEC school. But I appreciate that question, Jacob. Who is playing next to Caleb this year? Draco asked that. Draco, Jalen McClain, I think, is going to be the starter. Malik Hartford's going to rotate, but when we get a couple of games in, Malik Hartford could be starting next to him. Fahim Delane, again, I don't think they're going to go freshman right off the bat. He's already lost his black stripe, though. I expect him to play this year. If he continues to improve, he could start at some point, and it wouldn't surprise me. But for right now, I'm going to say Jalen McClain is the answer for that one. Linebacker rotation. I like this question because I do think the Buckeyes and James Laurinaitis need to rotate their linebackers a lot. And here's why I say this. Sonny Styles, you don't want Styles coming off the field a lot, or really Arvell Reese, but you have so much talent there. Peyton Pierce, James Laurinaitis has raved about him. And then Riley Pettijohn, the true freshman out of Texas. I'm telling you guys right now, Riley Pettijohn is kind of unlike anything we've seen at linebacker position. Now, what do I mean by that? So Sonny Styles moved from safety to linebacker, so you're expecting someone to be really fast. I think his speed is going to really surprise a lot of people. This is a kid that is very fast at the high school level. He was a track star in Texas. I'm expecting him to play a role and be very effective. And again, I think he's going to see the field a lot more than people think. A lot more than people think. So keep an eye on Riley Pettijohn. And then how can Hartline – this is from BK. How can Hartline take those wide receivers off the field to give the young guys some playing time, or is that not happening? Blow-up game, of course. The big thing with Brian Hartline, and it's the same thing, you can go back to Larry Johnson. Larry, that's a whole other subject for another time, but is rotation. And you have so much talent. Like, you're not taking Jeremiah Smith off the field. You weren't taking Emeka Ibuka off the field. You weren't taking Carnell Tate off the field. You have so much talent, though, this year, and I think we might see more rotation than normal because I think Mylan Graham is going to get more playing. I think Mylan Graham he's not going to be even with Brandon Enos because I just don't see that. I think Enos being a team captain, it reminds me of Julian Fleming, and I'm not saying Enos is Fleming by any means. I'm talking about that older guy in the room. Well, not older because Carnell Tate's the same year, but you guys know what I mean. He's a leader. Julian Fleming is considered a leader as well. So I do think Enos is going to play a big role this year, but I could see more of a rotation among those two. Maybe Carnell Tate a little bit. You're not taking Jeremiah off the field. Bryson Rogers might get a little bit of time, but I don't expect much. The guy I'm really curious about because he lost his black stripe so early, I really want to see what happens with Quincy Porter. I mean, I want to say he's one of the top 5 in Buckeye history as far as how quickly he lost his black stripe. I think he's going to play this year. I don't know how much. That's the big question. I don't know how much he'll play. But, as far as Hartline rotating, he should. He should because you have so much talent, but also hard to argue with him doing that when they're so good at the position. I'm more kind of curious on how much they rotate tight end. You have Max Clare. He's going to play a lot. Will Kazmarek. Jelani Thurman, by all accounts, has had a really good camp, and Nate Roberts is already the true freshman from Oklahoma has already lost his black stripe, so I think he's going to play too. We'll see what happens at the tight end position. I'm more curious about tight end actually rotation than I am wide receiver, but I really do appreciate that question, BK. And real quick before we get to the remaining questions here, I just want to say thank you to 245 people that are joining me on a Thursday night. So I appreciate your time for doing that. If you would go, and this won't take long, I promise you, just go to YouTube, type in Network 216. You can even click the link that we have on Twitter when we made the announcement for the show tonight. Go over to the YouTube channel and just give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you're brand new. Just that way you don't miss any of our live shows. I know you can watch them on Twitter, but that way you get notified when they are on YouTube. And really it does just support the channel overall and support the show. So if you would do that, we really would appreciate it. Just go over again on YouTube. You don't even have to watch from YouTube, but just go over, like the video. Really helps that YouTube algorithm grow and push the Scarlet and Gray podcast out to those who have not yet seen the show and to more Ohio State football fans. So thank you guys, everyone that's watching tonight. go over, again, just go over the YouTube channel real quick. You can even do it while you're watching on Twitter and just go over, drop a like onto the video. Really would appreciate that. Okay. Getting to our remaining questions. Are you worried about the left tackle battle at all? So Ryan Day actually answered this. And Austin Cheveld is going to be the left tackle this year for Ohio State. So it sounds like that position is accounted for. He came out and named him, which I thought was interesting. I know that surprised some people, but it sounds like Ryan Day said he is going to be the starter at left tackle. And you're looking at 4 Ohio kids on the offensive line, potentially as starters this year. So that's really encouraging to see. I'm kind of excited about that. And again, I'm not one of those guys that's all for you just go Ohio kids no matter what, regardless of what star they are, like star rating they are. Star rating's not everything, but it is pretty cool when you have an Ohio offensive line, and we pretty much have an Ohio offensive line, so that's really cool to see. We have a couple more minutes. If there are any other questions, feel free to ask them. But I just want to say thank you to everyone that sent questions. That really is appreciated. Just some other notable news I figured that we could get to. Phillip Bell, the true freshman from California, lost his black stripe this week. Jake Cook, offensive lineman, recently lost his. I'm trying to make sure I'm getting to all these guys. Yeah, like I said, Bo Jackson, he already lost his black stripe. Let's see here. Philip Daniels, transferred from Minnesota, lost his. Because I know a lot of people are curious about who's all losing black stripes. Bo Atkinson, Bo Atkinson, not that that's a surprise. Fahim Delane, I've talked about it now. I've talked about that one a couple times. Nick McClarty. If I'm missing anyone, please just let me know. I apologize if I do. Sometimes, when you don't have that information in front of you, you're going off memory. So I just want to apologize in case I'm a little inaccurate there. And then just other notable news from Ohio State. It sounds like Tavian St. Clair is going to be the third quarterback. From what Ryan Day said, I know a lot of Buckeye fans are really curious to see him on the field and believe he is going to be an absolute star for the Buckeyes. Patience with him. So one of the things when you're coming from a smaller school, it can take more time than usual just to learn the offense, learn the speed of the college game. So if he doesn't lose his black stripe soon, don't be alarmed by that. It's quite a transition going from high school to college at the quarterback position. He's definitely going to be the third quarterback. He has not lost his black stripe yet. Lincoln Keenholz is definitely going to be the backup quarterback. And Julian Sain, of course, is going to be the starting quarterback. But I thought that was notable that he mentioned that about Tavian. They really he's done some really good things. It sounds like Tavian St. Clair, but just not ready as far as being named the Buckeyes backup quarterback. I'm trying to think if we've left anything out here. Just notable information. Mylan Graham was talked about by Brian Hartline. It sounds like Mylan Graham still has some things he needs to improve as far as in just getting more consistent in practice. It sounds like it's the big thing with him, but I have no doubt he is going to be pretty good. And then let's see here. Making sure I'm just not forgetting anything because, again, I want to make sure I'm providing you guys with all the information that came out, even if it was last week. Let's see here. Kick return and punt returner looks like Brandon Enos, Mylan Graham. So I think that's kind of interesting. I expect Caleb Downs too from time to time. We'll see how much they do that. They've shown they don't really want to risk him being back there, which I mean, let's be honest, I can understand that. I wouldn't want to have him back there either a lot just because you don't want to risk that type of injury. My apologies. Injury. The last notable thing that came out just from the coaches talking, Sam Williams-Dixon was mentioned by Carlos Lachlan, so maybe he'll get some playing time as well. People forget about him. He did decide to stay after entering the transfer portal. More of a scat back in my mind as far as he can make plays out of the backfield in the passing game, but also is kind of a speedster. Another Ohio kid, but that's really going to wrap up this edition of the Scarlet and Gray podcast. Like I said, we'll be back next week. Ohio State season preview, And then we will have your Ohio State versus Texas game day preview. So want to make sure you don't miss any of those shows. Thank you, everyone that tuned in. Again, drop a like on the video. Again, if you would go over to YouTube, guys, I know it doesn't take you long. It's completely free to just like the video and really helps promote the show and the channel. But also, if you would, this might take you 45 seconds to a minute. If you would go onto Apple Podcasts, that's all you got to do. Apple Podcasts, search the Scarlet and Gray podcast, and then you'll see our logo there. And then just scroll to the very bottom, click 5-star review. You don't even have to write anything if you don't want to. But again, we had some Michigan fans that infiltrated it and completely have tanked our rating. And we would love to improve that because it's just, again, if we're a bad show, we want to know about it, but we want reasons to why. We don't just need 20 Michigan fans dropping 1-star reviews to tank the overall rating. And something people need to know, the shows that are rated higher are the ones that are going to be promoted directly by Apple. They basically, it's not free advertising, but they will suggest your podcast to those that watch other similar podcasts. So again, if you guys would do that, that actually would be a huge help. Just go over, drop that 5-star review for the Scarlet and Gray podcast. We really would appreciate that. But again, thank you everyone that tunes into the show. We really appreciate that support. Like I said, we'll be back next week. Nick Lazier should be back as well for more Ohio State football content. The show will be available if you missed any of it. It will be available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts tomorrow morning. So make sure you don't miss it. We will talk to you guys all again next week. And as always, go Buckeyes.